Barbados, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
Good morning and welcome back to Morning Barbados. Hopefully you stay with us for the duration. We're going to talk now about the 1688 Orchestra. So, to tell us more about that, we have Stefan Walcott and Mark Ford. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
And let's start with you. 1688 Orchestra. What is that name about? Tell us about that first up.
Well, the name derived from the year the British tried to ban the playing of drums and African drums and music of African descent in Barbados. So what was happening in Barbados, like even to know, is that instrumentalists coming out of BCC weren't finding these spaces anymore in which to play, because a lot of them are disappearing within the band, the nightclub scene.
You mean at this
in
point
Barbados, so it was I found it ironic that all these years ago the British attempted to ban live music, but through social circumstances, live music was disappearing in Barbados itself. So the name harks back to that particular moment, the event in Barbadian history, and it's supposed to prevent this from happening. It provides a space where they could keep playing, because so many of them after that are going to teaching or for whatever reasons, and they don't get that opportunity anymore to exhibit the skills they learned and the knowledges they learned within BCC. So 1688 is supposed to be that area. So it's a big band and steel pan together. So it's like 18 players at the moment. I want to get up to 25 eventually, where we can get to really expose the type of talent they have, as well as do the different arrangements of Barbadian and Caribbean music.
Sounds like inspiration to never forget your history and create history of your own.
Right, that's the idea, to connect the dots really between these particular periods.
Yeah, I was going to ask what kind of band it was, but you sort of intimated that it was going to be the big band feel. I remember when I was growing up in Trinidad, brass bands, not the types that we know now, but bands with lots of instrumentation and things used to run the scene. So is that what you're trying to bring back, that era when you focus on the instrumentation rather than a couple chords and
we're trying not only bring it back, but keep the guys employed, keep the guys playing music. I mean, they're all of them young, and all of them don't have the opportunity to go overseas, for example, to study. So just keep them playing and involved within music in Barbados, and the live music. And get people singing as well too, because I'm sure in Trinidad, I've been in Trinidad, I don't see any of those brass bands anymore.
The government tried to start back something a couple of years ago, but I don't know how that is going. Yeah.
So Mark, you play double tenor?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what is the thinking of a young man coming out of the BCC program, getting involved in 1688? Where do you think you fit in this whole musical landscape?
Well, firstly, as Stefan would have mentioned, there is not a whole set of room out there for live music. So a lot of people just either go overseas, or if they can't do that right away, they resort to teaching. A few of them would really find bands to play. So 1688 to a young student now coming out of BCC is like a relief that there's actually somewhere that you can keep playing. Especially there, you can still do the teaching on the side, you can still play other places, but in terms of keeping the skill up, 1688 provides that sort of feel.
The next question, though, after forming the band now, is areas to play. I mean, areas to actually get to play. Do you think that there is that opportunity, the opportunities out there for a band of this nature to get employment?
Well, I'm working at the moment on a proposal where we move into a space. Like, I don't want to divulge which space is, because it's still ongoing negotiations, but to move it in like a residency.
So you don't want to be an itinerant band, you don't want to be traveling around?
Ideally, that was suggested by a lady involved in government that we should actually do a Barbados tour. I really like the playing people that don't normally hear this music, because it's so confined. Even though we want to move into a space, it's so usually confined to these areas. But what's wrong with doing a gig 1688 on Hazel Pasture, 1688 in Horse Hill? You know what I mean? Take the music to areas that to people that don't normally get exposed to this music.
And speaking of exposure, yeah, it does. Speaking of exposure, we don't have to beg for opportunities in the coming weeks to hear you. You'll be performing with Pan Fusion and BCC on the 14th, and there are two other events where we'll get to hear some of this big band sound. Do you want to tell me some more about that?
Yeah, we're going to be at Pan Extravaganza, Pan in the Plaza. That's an annual camp that the Frank Cullinan Hall runs, that Mark was also a part of. It's going for 10 years. It's going to be a very special event, and they have asked us to do a 45-minute set, so it's going to be big band and steel pan out in the plaza outside of the hall itself. and that's going to be a mixture of Caribbean music redone. We're doing Bumbas They Want to Know with DJ Simmons, a rhythm poet. We're also doing Carnival Play, one of the demo tracks we did for Crop Over. And we're also doing the Calypso by Nicholas Branker. So we try to do all this music, but we rearrange it for this particular setting. Then we're going to be on Pan Ensemble with BCC, because BCC Pan Ensemble forms the core Pan group. So we decided to bring the horn players as well to augment it, to provide something different for Pan on the 17th.
Mark, I want to hear your perspective on this type of music, or having the opportunity to play various genres of music via Pan and be a part of 1688, you know, the orchestra. The young people's view, young musicians' view, what are the feelings out there about having these opportunities?
Okay, well, in terms of the view of 1688, the way that Stefan arranges his music, first of all, he picks a lot of songs that you don't usually hear just being played. So he would pick like some very old songs that you didn't know existed. He would take some of the younger stuff, some of the dancehall that most instrumentalists tend to shy away from.
Yeah.
Like the Vibes Cartel that we haven't done yet, but we'll.
Wow.
I promise Barbados we'll do a Vibes Cartel Movada concert and big band and steel band.
Look at
Much to the chagrin of Mark, but that's the idea anyway.
Well, while Mark dies of embarrassment, we're gonna bring up some of your rehearsal, because some people might be having a hard time getting their heads around the sound. So let's take a look at some of the 1688 rehearsals.